Let's wrap up Data Security Week by talking about the dangers associated with data in different states. We'll start with data at rest, and I won't spend a lot of time here because the exposure risk of data at rest is pretty low. These will be things like archived databases that aren't interacted with very often. There's always the danger of somebody breaking in or a user getting elevated permissions and seeing it, but if the data is encrypted, physically secure, then there's not a whole lot of risk associated with data at rest. Now, if we move over to data in use, this will be things that users are writing to or reading from. And there's a lot of exposure risk with data in use. These can be forms or Word documents or operational databases. And people will try to break in a lot of different ways. So we have, of course, the elevated permissions danger of an unauthorized user or a user who shouldn't be authorized being able to access it. We also have things like unsafe sharing practices. So taking that data, putting it into Google Drive and then sending it out, or even printing it out and then putting it in the recycling bin without shredding it. There's a lot of user risk associated with data in use. And of course, the traditional threat actors who are going to be trying to do phishing attempts to get you to leak data somehow. So with data in use, we should be encrypting it where possible, using some sort of access management policy to try to prevent users from seeing it, anyone that doesn't need to see it. We can also tokenize it and try to hide the very sensitive elements so that if that data does get leaked, it's not dangerous. Now, if we move over to what I think is the most interesting data state, that's going to be data in transit. Data in transit is fascinating because anytime that it has to move from one location to another, there's a huge amount of exposure risk associated with that. And so probably the most commonly heard of technique is going to be sniffing packets or just intercepting unencrypted data. And it's kind of inexcusable in 2023 because encryption is at our fingertips. There's so many things available. We can use SSL and TLS. We send over HTTPS on port 443, right? Our data should never be transmitting unencrypted. And that is a really cool talking point. We also have, physical theft is another danger. So let's say that we're delivering data on a USB drive and that USB drive gets stolen, right? There's a lot of ways to intercept it. But as far as our traffic goes, if we're using firewalls and our traffic is on-premise or in our virtual private cloud, there's really no reason for somebody to be able to get in and see it. But even if they do, that data should still be encrypted. So, because this topic is so fascinating, the next video will dive into encryption, what it is, and how it helps us. Hopefully everyone's having a good data privacy week. We'll see you next time.